Hello and welcome to my video. Today I'm going to swatch Get Lobstered from Beasley's Lacquer. It is a semi-sheer polish. I think you can get this to a pretty good opacity in 3 coats. I will, however, be pointing out a couple of things in the 3rd coat when we get there. I'm also testing a new audio program, so I'm curious to see if my audio has any better quality than previous. I can dial in the noise reduction now a little bit with the new one. The old one just had like a simple toggle, and I think I sounded a bit tinny. It was better than hearing my CPU fan run like a jet engine, but I felt like I could do better. Back to the actual polish. Unfortunately, my camera did pull the base a bit to look somewhat peachy in my footage. The base is not peachy. It's a dusty mauvey sort of pink. I've decided that it's Mountbatten pink, like the British camouflage color. And I actually did a decent job of painting in the lines today. Thank goodness. I'm not the most accurate hand, and acetone and a cleanup brush are definitely necessities for me. I've never been all that good at physical tasks, so I'm personally not surprised that, like most things, I do just well enough with painting my nails. Perfection is not in the books for me. You can see in my footage here that the base is pulling peachy. This is not accurate. I will point out in the 3rd coat when you should look for the actual base color. However, what is showing up correctly is the shimmer. The shimmer is an aqua into a teal into a green, and those are the predominant colors it wants to be in sun, in shade, etc. There are a few extra colors you see here and there, but those are its primary colors. Like normal, Bee's Knees goes on very smoothly. I was a little bit worried because my bottles were quite hot when they were delivered. I think they had been in the truck for quite some time. I did let them cool down overnight before opening them. I also got a couple of polishes I wasn't expecting to grab because there were a few on my wish list that weren't available this time, but I am excited to try out the new ones. I think one of the things that is happening to the camera is that my skin is quite pink and there is a little bit of a gold undertone as well. And I think that overall pulls my skin a bit peachy, and that peachiness is pulling the nail polish base color as well. You can see in the 2nd coat, the base is building up. The dusty tones of the polish are able to obscure my nail line to some degree. It's not perfect, and in 3, I would give it a rating of 90% opaque. It's more opaque than I expected it to be. I was a little worried about the subtlety of the base color, but it will build up in 3 to be detectable. It is a low saturation color, so you're never going to get a pop of color. It is more like a game of hide and seek. It's the type of polish where you feel excited when you see the perfect angle and see the base color. You will see later in the sun and shade shots that violet plays a pretty prominent role as well in the shimmer. However, at some pretty extreme angles, I can see almost a gold as well, and I'm sort of seeing it here on camera. It never quite reaches gold. I'd say maybe a very yellow chartreuse. That chartreuse color in the shimmer might be another reason that the base is getting pulled to a peachy tone. And here we are in the 3rd coat, and I definitely want to draw your attention to whether or not you can see my nail line, but also the base color. There's going to be a moment just coming up as I start the finger wiggle where I move my knuckle upwards and the tip of my finger downwards, and you're going to see that base color very clearly. Now, you might be wondering why I'm making such a big deal out of this, and why didn't I just take a bit more footage? Well, in a way I couldn't. So I paint my other fingers first, and then I paint my thumb last. And just after this footage, I smeared my thumbnail. Yeah. So I had already decided I was only going to do 2 coats on my other fingers, so they were done, top coated everything. And then I smeared this one, and I had to do a 4th coat. So there's no more footage of 3 coats. It's a bit frustrating, but that's what we're working with. I will say that I like the polish in both 2 and 3 coats. I think 2 coats for just that wash of color and a nice amount of shimmer. But if you want to see a better amount of that base color, I think 3 is the way to go. I threw in a clip here of just my thumb with 4 coats on, because I had to repair it, in the full sunlight, just to give you an idea of what something more than 2 coats might look like. Normally I would not wear 4 coats, but extreme circumstances. I wanted to throw this in just to give you an idea of what that pink looks like underneath. The footage is a little bit frenetic, but you know, again, we're working with what we have. The camera did not want to focus on my thumb, so it seemed wiggling quickly was my only option. And here we are finally in the sun in 2 coats. You can see that pink in the base. You're still seeing the aqua, the teal, and the green. But here I feel like you're seeing much more of the violet coming out. And as well, I feel like that quite yellowy chartreuse is also visible. I am really enjoying the dusty quality of the polish. I like that it moves from that dusty color into a bright and shiny shimmer. That contrast is really fun. I like the idea of the Mountbatten pink base and the bluish shimmer as the camouflage plain and sky together as a nail polish. Forget the Red Baron, this polish is the Marquis of Mauve. When I was swatching Love is the Most Powerful Magic, I was comparing it to this of swatches I had seen online. And now that I have it in my hands, I would say it does an okay job of duping the vibe. It's definitely not a dupe. For Love is the Most Powerful Magic, it mainly wants to be violet into aqua. It has some hints of pink and green on the edges, where this polish wants to be aqua to green, and it has some violet, and then in extreme cases it has that almost chartreusey yellow. The bases are also not the same color. Now that we've moved into the shade, you can see the shimmer has changed a bit again. You're getting more of that violet, and I feel like you're also getting more of that chartreusey yellow. It's almost impossible not to see here. It is quite a shifty shade, and I'm very enthralled by this. I do have some comparison photos later. They're not the greatest photos because in some cases I needed one in the shade so that you could see all the shifts, and my shade photos are not great. One of them's a bit blurry, but again, we're working with what we have. So in just a second, we're going to move inside, and you'll notice that it's going to change the way we perceive the base color. It's going to look more grayish than pink. The shimmer will also be more subdued and will take on a silvery quality, where a lot of polishes indoors take on like a false opacity thanks to their metallic nature. I feel like this one really doesn't. I really feel you can still see through to that base, that the base looks less opaque itself, and that overall it does sort of maintain its sheerness indoors. I feel like it looks more moody, more broody here. I like a brooding polish, but if you were looking right now for bright poppy colors, you're not going to get that in every circumstance with this polish, so this might not be for you. I did make the mistake on this day of wearing a green t-shirt, so I'm very much hoping you can't see it reflected in my nail polish very much, but I did personally see it 1 or 2 times. In a second, we're going to move over to the still photos that compare Love is the Most Powerful Magic to Get Lobstered. Their base colors differ. Love is a lilac, where Lobstered is a mauve. The shimmer for Love is very much aqua into violet, where the shimmer for Lobstered is predominantly green and aqua. And that is all for today. Thank you for watching. I always appreciate when people watch my videos, and please enjoy a clip of the chipmunk who was supervising my work that day. Are you waiting, Chippy? Is that what's happening? I know. You're very cute.